Good evening all. I welcome you all on the behalf of StudyIQ English IAS. My name is Pritesh Maturkar and I welcome you all to this exemplary kind of curriculum that we have started for your sake of understanding the discipline called as geography. And in this series, in this innovative series, we will be focusing on three or more important parameters. So my endeavor with you in this session is going to be threefold. Those of you are watching me for the first time, so my endeavor is threefold with everyone. Number first, I need to make you comfortable with the discipline called as geography. Number two, for this I will be using maps per se, because majority of the aspirants in this preparation, they face difficulty with regards to atlas, with regards to map marking and utilization of maps. And the third and the most important thing, through these sessions you will understand the utilitarian value of atlas, okay, wherein you can crunch the atlas in your answers, how you can interlink current affairs with the atlas, and how you can use all of this knowledge to score better marks in your mains, and how atlas can actually improve your character too. Okay, so those of you who are joining me for the first time, I will be dealing with some of the aspects with regards to atlas in every session. So in every session my flow of work is like this. I discuss 5 to 10 minutes with regards to whatever I have taught in the previous session. This series being a continuum series, so today's lecture is lecture number 6 per se. So 5 to 10 minutes I revise everything, then I introduce you to new concepts, and as soon as I introduce you to the new concepts, we tend to use those concepts in our understanding of atlas too. So that is the flow of these classes, and in each class I tend to give some assignments too, which you can submit me on Telegram. I will also be sharing the link with you. In every class I tend to expose you to whatever is happening in the world from a geographical perspective, because geography is basically one word for understanding your and mine interaction with the outside environment. So that is the typical flow of these classes, and in the end I wish that everyone becomes happy, everyone feels enlightened, everyone feels empowered with regards to utilization of atlas in your mains answers. That's my ultimate foray with everyone. So before moving forward, I will just quickly like to introduce myself. My name is Pritesh Maturkar. I will be your primarily faculty for dealing with the geography GS discourse, and using this discourse I wish that everyone will at least cover up 50 to 60% of your general studies syllabus, and rest of the advanced level syllabus, it can also be taken care of if you have faith in me and if you understand the concepts whichever I'll be discussing on the board. And in the end, what I want from each and every one of you, this is what I will be giving, but what I want each and every one of you is that you all should work upon the content of this lectures, because unless and until you don't work upon the content, watching these lectures is absolutely a infutile exercise. Okay, today being the International Labor Day, so you have to do some labor for getting good all India rank. Okay, there is no success without labor. So start your journey from today onwards, 1st of May 2023, till the time you give your first attempt next year, or whenever you are planning to give. Toil very hard, you will definitely achieve success. Okay, so my name is Pritesh Maturkar. There is a Telegram channel link called at t.me Geography by Pritesh, and the name of the channel is Geography by Pritesh Maturkar. Everyone is free to join this channel, where I keep on posting the relevant current affairs material, some of the important PDFs which I discuss in the class, and other relevant material which I feel will help you in scoring good marks in mains. Guys, I'm been adamant from the first day that you watching this lectures should only focus on getting good marks in mains. That should be your ultimate foray. If you are watching these lectures just for fun, if you are watching this lectures just for analyzing or just for seeing what different faculties teach, no, this is not done, guys. You need to have a pen and paper ready with you, and you need to understand these lectures from a utilitarian perspective. Okay, I am a faculty which does not showcase you only the stars in the sky, but rather I will showcase you the path which will take you from earth to those stars. Okay, so everyone is free to join this Telegram channel. The name of the channel is Geography by Pritesh Maturkar, and the joining link is t.me Geography by Pritesh. Okay, so let's start our today's lecture. So I will quickly recap whatever we did in the previous lecture. So in the previous lecture, I introduced you to the tropical areas of the world. Okay, the tropical areas of the world are characterized by subtropical high pressure belt, and mind you, this subtropical high pressure condition is created because of an apparent force called as Coriolis force. Okay, what is Coriolis force? Basically, Coriolis force is an apparent force which comes into play because of the rotation of Earth on its axis from west to east. So earth being circular, the motion also being circular, so you have a tendency to conserve angular momentum. So if any object is moving from equator towards the poles per se, it has to conserve its angular momentum, and the formula of angular momentum is given by V equals omega r. Okay, or you can write this down as capital R. Okay, so if you want to conserve your angular momentum, you have to increase your radial velocity or you have to increase your radial distance. Mind you, the radial velocity is not dependent on the object itself. It is dependent upon the force by which the object is propelled. So if I'm propelling a ball towards you like this, so the speed with which the ball will come towards you will be the momentum which it has got from my end. So a object moving from equator towards the poles cannot increase its velocity on its own. The only option is it can increase its radial distance. Why? Because as the object moves from equator towards the poles, the distance of the surface of the earth from the earth's axis keeps on diminishing. Okay, it becomes less and less. Hence, the objects that tend to deflect towards right in the northern hemisphere and they tend to deflect towards their left. So if an object is moving from equator towards the poles, if an object is moving from equator towards the poles, so this is our equator, this is our north pole, and this is our south pole. So with respect to its motion, it will move towards its left, and with respect to motion, it will move towards its right. So this is because of the apparent Coriolis force deflection. A very good example I gave you. So in the morning when you will brush your teeth, please see the way in which the water circles in the sinks and goes down. So if you are in the northern hemisphere, the water will swirl in the right direction and go down. And if you are in the southern hemisphere, the water will swirl in the left hand side and it will go down. So very innovative kind of application of Coriolis force. So because of this, what happens? Whatever air that is rising from the equator, instead of it sinking at the poles, it sinks at around 30 to 35 degrees north and south. Hence, the tropical areas are characterized by high pressure conditions. As the conditions are high pressure conditions, you don't have cloud formation, there is inhibited cloud formation. Hence, because of this, the tropical areas are characterized by subtropical hot deserts, and the vegetation also becomes xerophatic. You won't have evergreen trees, rather you will have small cacti. Okay, even the animals of the desert will be somewhat different from the animals of the other areas. They will be specially adapted to survive in the desert. The most common example I can give you is the sheep of the desert, which is camel. Okay, camel has got food padding. It drinks roughly 200 to 220 liters of water in one go, so that it preserves its water content in the body for days to come. Okay, and camel has been the sheep of the desert since ages. You must have heard with regards to the caravan traders of Sahara, with regards to the Banjaras of Sahara. So all of these people, they rely on these animals who have specifically adapted for the desert conditions. Okay, so topography, in short, the geography also affects your life, your survivability in any place. Okay, the premise just being that. Okay, so tropical areas will now become the world's hottest areas and not the equatorial areas. Okay, please keep this in mind, guys. The equatorial areas are not the world's hottest areas. Why? Because you have cumulonimbus cloud formation on the equator, whereas in the tropical areas, because of high pressure conditions, you have cloud inhibition, and hence sun's rays will fall directly on the surface. And if you are in, let's say, Sahara or if you are in Australia, if you are on Tropic of Cancer, on Tropic of Capricorn, on either 21st of June, summer solstice, or on 22nd of December, winter solstice, then the sun's rays will also fall perpendicularly. Those of you guys who are watching me for the first time today, I have discussed every bit of this in the previous lectures, so you can just revisit the previous lectures and have a glimpse. And those of you who are continuing with me, this will be a good revision for you all. So I just showcased you yesterday some of the tropical areas on the world's map. So the tropical areas will be characterized by the subtropical hot deserts. So today, before moving ahead, I will be opening the maps for you all. I'll be discussing the countries through which both the tropics passes, and I will be also sharing some of the desert names with you through which the tropics passes. And before I move forward, guys, I already told everyone on this lectures that you need to have an atlas with you. The name of the atlas is Orient Black Swan School Atlas. Okay. So whenever you will come to this lectures, please keep your atlas open with you. Of course, I will be using the maps, but if you have an atlas open in front of you, it will be of great help to everyone. Okay. So let's move towards our discussion of the countries through which the Tropic of Cancer passes. Okay. So the first country that I'll be opening, or the first continent that I'll be opening, is of course the North America. Okay, so there are 2 or 3 confusing perspectives in North America with regards to the passage of Tropic of Cancer. Okay. So the first question that I'm asking each and every one of you, do you have any tropical territory of United States? Okay. The answer is yes. There is a tropical territory of USA called as Hawaii over here. Okay. Hawaii is the only tropical territory of USA which is to the south of Tropic of Cancer. Okay. Tropic of Cancer does not exclusively pass through Hawaii, but it does pass just to the north of Hawaii. So USA does have one tropical territory called as Hawaii. Okay. And Hawaii, it's basically a active volcano. Okay. It's a hotspot volcano. Okay. And you have the world's tallest peak over there. Okay. This is a little bit confusing information. Mind you, the world's tallest peak on earth is not Mount Everest. Mount Everest is the world's tallest peak measured from sea level, whereas the world's tallest peak in the world is where the capital of Hawaii is located, Honolulu, and the name of the peak is Mauna Kea. Mauna Kea. So Mauna Kea is the world's tallest peak. Why? Because 6,000 meters it is below the sea level and 4,000 meters it is above the sea level. So if you consider the entire height of Mauna Kea, then it is approximately 10,200 meters. So Mauna Kea, it is the capital of Hawaii, Honolulu sits right on it. So that is the tallest peak. So Tropic of Cancer does not exclusively pass through Hawaii, but it just passes to the north of it just passes north of Hawaiian Islands. Okay. So if a question comes, does USA have any tropical territory? Your answer is yes. Okay. The first country through which the Tropic of Cancer passes in North America, it is of course Mexico. Okay, it does pass through Mexico. So first country through which Tropic of Cancer passes in North America, it is Mexico. Okay, after crossing Mexico, it passes through a Caribbean country number 2 called as Bahamas. Okay, Bahamas is one of the biggest island groups of West Indies. Okay, the capital of Bahamas is Nassau. So in the North American perspective, Tropic of Cancer will pass through 2 countries. It will pass through Mexico, and number 2, it will pass through Bahamas in the Caribbean island group or in the West Indies. The capital of Bahamas being Nassau. So after passing through these 2 countries, it enters into the Atlantic Ocean, and then we enter into one of the biggest landmass on earth, that is Africa. So in North America, Tropic of Cancer will pass through Mexico, and then it will pass through Bahamas. The physical aspects I will be discussing after we complete the political aspects, so that you have a working understanding of both the physical aspects as well as the political aspects. So let's move ahead. So after passing through the Atlantic, it enters into Africa, Tropic of Cancer. So Tropic of Cancer passes through the following countries in Africa. Okay. The first country through which Tropic of Cancer passes in Africa, it is Western Sahara. Number first country, it is Western Sahara. Number two country, you have Mauritania. Number three country that you have in Africa, it's Mali. After Mali, it passes through country number four, Algeria. Then it passes through Niger. It passes through Libya. Mind you, Tropic of Cancer does not pass through Chad. Okay, very confusing perspective. It does not pass through Chad. Okay, Tropic of Cancer just touches the northern part of Chad, but it does not pass through Chad. So you have Western Sahara, Mauritania, Mali, you have Algeria, you have Niger, you have Libya, and after that Tropic of Cancer, it enters into Egypt. Okay, so these are the 7 countries through which Tropic of Cancer passes through Africa. You have Western Sahara, you have Mauritania, you have Mali, you have Algeria, then you have Niger, you have Libya. Tropic of Cancer does not pass through Chad. Okay, this can be asked as a prelims question, so please make sure you are comfortable with this. Okay, and then it passes through Egypt, and after passing through Egypt, it will enter into Asia. Okay, it will enter into the Arabian Peninsula. So these are the countries through which Tropic of Cancer passes in Africa. Now let's move ahead to the discussion of the Asian countries through which Tropic of Cancer passes. Okay, so after coming out of Africa, the Tropic of Cancer will pass through let me just zoom in on this. Okay. After coming outside Africa, the Tropic of Cancer will now enter Saudi Arabia. The first country after Saudi Arabia, it will pass through UAE. After UAE, it will pass through Oman. Okay, the capital of Oman, you have Muscat. Okay, Muscat directly sits on Tropic of Cancer. So you have Saudi Arabia. After Saudi Arabia, you have number 2. This is UAE. This country, it is UAE. Okay, after UAE, it will pass through Oman. Oman, the capital of Oman, Muscat, it directly sits on Tropic of Cancer. After that, it will enter into the Arabian Ocean, and after that, it will enter into India. After India, the Tropic of Cancer will pass through Bangladesh. So this is country number 1, 2, 3. This is country number 4, India. After India, it will pass through Bangladesh. From Bangladesh, it will again come into India. It will enter into Myanmar. From Myanmar, it will enter into China, number 7. Okay, and lastly, after China, it will pass through Taiwan. It will also pass through Taiwan. Okay, the capital of Taiwan, okay, it is also situated very close to the Tropic of Cancer. Okay, so it's a home assignment for you. What is the capital city of Taiwan? Okay, there is a very famous building over there. It is called as Taipei. Okay, I give you, okay, Taiwan's capital Taipei, Taipei 101, and Taiwan is known globally for semiconductor industry. There is one company in Taiwan called as TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. That one company basically manufactures 80 to 90% of the world's chipset. So the digital screens that you are using, mobile phone, laptops, smart computers, anything that you are using, the chips which are there, the processors which are there, all of them are manufactured by Taiwan. So just see, just a small country, but geopolitically the country is so damn significant. Hence, you are seeing increased conflict with regards to China. If USA starts supporting Taiwan, then China always comes into play. Okay, so global inflection points, Taiwan can now become the new buffer zone for USA for countering China. Okay, similar to that of Ukraine. Okay, so please remember that Tropic of Cancer does pass through Taiwan, and then it will enter into the Pacific. Okay, so these are the countries through which Tropic of Cancer passes. Okay, it starts from the North American continent. Does it pass through USA? No, it does not pass through USA. But do you have any USN territory which lies in the tropical areas? Yes, you have the territory called as Hawaii. Okay, the capital of Hawaii, you have Honolulu. Okay, very confusing name, Honolulu, but it sits on a mountain called as Mauna Kea. Okay, Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa, these are some of the highest peaks of the world. Okay, Mount Everest is not the Earth's highest peak. The Earth's highest peak is Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa. 6,000 meters they sit below the sea level, rest 4,000 it is above sea level, whereas Mount Everest measured from sea level it is 8848 meters only. Okay, so both of these mountains are roughly 2,000 meters higher than Mount Everest. Okay, just for your sake of knowledge and just for introducing you to Mars too. Okay, the solar system's highest mountain, the highest mountain of the solar system is on Mars. It is called as Mount Olympus. Okay, the height of Mount Olympus is upwards of 24-25 kilometers, indicating what? That Mars also has a rocky terrain similar to Earth, and Mars also has something called as plate tectonics. Has means it had. Today Mars is a dead planet. It does not have a living core like Earth, whereas Earth is still a living planet. Earth is still cooling off. We still have a very hot dense core, so we are yet to cool off. So the plates are still rotating on Earth. I'm just introducing you to a little bit of higher topics, but just for your fun sake of understanding, the highest peak in the solar system is Mount Olympus on Mars. Okay, so these are some of the countries through which the Tropic of Cancer passes. After that it enters into Africa. I introduced you to the countries through which Tropic of Cancer passes. You have Western Sahara, Mauritania, Mali, Algeria, Libya. It will not pass through Chad. It will pass through Egypt. After Egypt, it will enter into the Saudi Arabian Peninsula. You will have Saudi Arabia, UAE, Oman, the capital city of Oman, which is Muscat. It's directly sitting on the Tropic of Cancer. Then it will enter into India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, China, Taiwan. So these are the countries through which Tropic of Cancer passes. Okay, these, mind you guys, these are only the political aspects. Physical aspects I will be dealing in a while with everyone. Okay. Now let's move to the discussion of the countries through which Tropic of Capricorn passes. Okay, so I'm opening up the map of South America for everyone. So the countries through which Tropic of Capricorn passes in South America, the first country that you have is Chile. After Chile, you have a country called as Argentina. After Argentina, you have a country called as Paraguay. After Paraguay, it passes through Brazil. So 4 countries through which Tropic of Capricorn passes in South America. You have Chile, Argentina, Paraguay and Brazil. Okay, guys, we are talking about the tropical areas. So please keep this in mind that tropical areas are going to be hot. They are going to be dry. They are going to be arid to semi-arid. Okay, but the areas between the tropical areas and the equatorial areas, they will show a little bit of transition. I will explain you what do you mean by this transition. But if you go on the tropics, you are but naturally bound to have very dry, very hot and arid to semi-arid conditions. Okay, so these are the countries through which Tropic of Capricorn passes in South America. After that, it will enter into the Southern Atlantic and we will have the great African continent. So the countries through which Tropic of Capricorn passes in Africa, okay, it will enter through Namibia. After Namibia, it will go into Botswana. Okay, after Botswana, it will enter into South Africa. After South Africa, it will enter into Mozambique. It will escape the Africa and it will enter into Madagascar. So the 5 countries through which the Tropic of Capricorn will pass, you will have Namibia, you will have Botswana, you will have South Africa, you will have Mozambique, and lastly you will have Madagascar. So these are the countries in Africa through which Tropic of Capricorn will pass. After that, Tropic of Capricorn will enter into the Indian Ocean, and then it will enter into the Australian territory. Okay. So once the Tropic of Capricorn has escaped the African continent, it will reach into the Australian continent. Okay. Australia, world's largest island continent. Okay. So it will enter into Australia, and Tropic of Capricorn will exactly cut Australia in half. And after that, the Tropic of Capricorn will enter into the oceanic countries. And in oceanic countries, Tropic of Capricorn passes through three particular regions. So after passing through Africa, it will enter into Australia. After Australia, it will enter into oceanic islands. Okay, the oceanic countries, namely the countries of Melanesia, Micronesia and Polynesia. So after passing Australia, the Tropic of Capricorn will enter into the oceanic countries, and the countries of the oceanic islands through which Tropic of Capricorn passes are as follows. So after escaping that, it will pass through Tonga, it will pass through Cook Islands, it will pass through French Polynesia, and lastly it will pass through Pitcairn Island. So it passes through Tonga, it passes through Cook Islands, it passes through French Polynesia, and lastly it will pass through Pitcairn Islands. Rest of the countries, they are bordering countries, so it does pass through Tonga, Cook Islands, French Polynesia and Pitcairn Islands. So these are some of the oceanic island countries through which Tropic of Capricorn will pass. Okay, so here I wound up the discussion of the political aspects of Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Now let us do something with regards to the physical aspects now, because UPSC is more focused on the physical aspects of all of these countries, of all of these territories. So now everyone please focus on the board properly for understanding the physical aspects. Okay, so I'm opening up the world's map for you all. I'm opening the Earth. Okay, so we will do a 3D representation of Earth per se. Okay, so before I move ahead, I will quickly like to revise. Okay, number first, what will the tropical areas include? Okay, the tropical areas will include those areas which are very dry, which are very hot, and they are arid. So such areas you will find as deserts. So if you go on tropics, if you go on Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, predominantly you will find deserts. And number two, the vegetation that you will find in the tropical areas. Remember, we did the vegetation of the equatorial regions. Okay, the equatorial regions vegetation was very dense. It was having a very dense canopy of trees. So you had some of the trees which are reaching to heights of more than 20 meters, 30 meters also. You have very dense canopy of bushes, creepers, and in the middle you have hardwood trees. Okay, and every tree in the equatorial areas will fight for sunlight, whereas over here it will be exactly opposite. Okay, you have very good sunlight, and because of dry conditions, because of enervating conditions wherein you will have direct scorching heat of the sun, the trees will be very less, the trees will be very small, and they will have practically no leaves. Okay, you will have thorns. So bush vegetation or thorn vegetation. So cactus plant will have thorns. What will thorns do? They will lessen the transpirative losses of water from the plants. So instead of having water in the stems, they will have a whitish substance, you can call it as milk. Okay, so that because of increased viscosity, it is retained much better and it does not evaporate easily. Okay, so the vegetation of the desert areas will be primarily what? It will be xerophytic. Please remember this word. Okay, xerophytic. Xerophytic vegetation means what? This vegetation will be in extreme water stress, and the vegetation will be specially adapted for surviving in the desert area. So you will have no leaves, you will have thorns. the stems will be very small. Okay, the roots will penetrate rather very deep into the ground so as to just suck even 1 ounce of water that is there in the desert. Okay, so it's basically the fight for survival. Okay, so the vegetation will be xerophytic. So now let's move to the discussion of the tropical areas of the Mexican region. Okay, so if I consider the Tropic of Cancer, okay, it does pass through Mexico. Okay, so if you see this part on the board, okay, this part is indicated in somewhat light brown color. Okay, indicating what? Indicating what? That this part of the world, it's very dry. Okay, and this part of the world, it is called as the Mexican altiplano. Okay, altiplano. Okay, altiplano means what? It is basically a intermountain plateau. Okay, it is sandwiched between two mountain ranges. You have two mountain ranges over here, guys. Now just don't need to remember, just understand that you have two mountain ranges and in the middle you have a altiplano, or you have a high plateau region. Okay, so the two mountain ranges over here, on the west side you have Western Sierra Madre. You have Western Sierra Madre, and on the east side you have a mountain range called as Eastern Sierra Madre. Eastern Sierra Madre. So you have two mountain ranges, Western Sierra Madre and Eastern Sierra Madre. In between two you have the dry Mexican altiplano. Very xerophytic kind of vegetation, very arid kind of topography. Okay, after that, Tropic of Cancer will enter into the Caribbean country of Bahamas. Okay, so Bahamas, very famous tourist destination for the people, those who live upwards in the temperate and the torrid areas of North America. Why? Because they will not have sunlight for at least 2 to 3 months in their lifetime. As you move northwards, the temperature, it will of course get colder, and because of the axial tilt, the sun's rays will not penetrate in the extreme northern areas beyond 40 degree for the days in winter properly. Hence, the people of USA, the northern part of USA, Canada, they flock to the tropical areas of Mexico and of Bahamas for receiving sunlight more. Okay, so there is a very misconception, or there is a very myth that the foreign tourists, they only travel to beach destinations. Beach destinations are so expensive. Guys, you need to understand this. When your body does not receive sunlight for 3 to 4 months in a year, okay, your bodily functions, they become very hampered. Okay, so, and sunlight is vital for functioning of every organism on this planet, because the sun god is the primary source of energy for all of us. Hence, the people from different parts of the world who live in 40 degrees north and above, they tend to flock the tropical areas. In India too, you must have heard Goa. Okay, everyone has that one trip planned with Goa. So if you go to Goa, foreigners will be there. Why? Because they need that sunlight which is not present in their territory in the upwards of the 40 degree north. And in the south, of course, there is no land, so there are no people residing there. Okay, so jokes aside, so let's move forward. So this is with regards to the Mexican altiplano. Okay, now let's move ahead with the further discussion. So now if you see Africa, guys, just see this Africa. Okay, dark shiny brown or very light yellow. Okay, so this entire region of Africa, this is called as the Sahara. This is called as the Sahara Sahel belt. Okay, mind you guys, the Sahara Sahel belt was once the part of ancient Silk Route. Okay, it was a very prosperous region with good traders, good trading, good villages. But as of today, because of mismanagement of policies, because of mismanagement of land, the Sahara Desert is creeping into the surrounding areas, and because of neglect, this area of the world has now become the worst performing area in terms of Human Development Index. Okay, so the entire area of Sahara and Sahel, if you go today, it is pegged by poverty, it is pegged by famines. Okay, and if you go towards Eastern Sahara, you must have heard that it is witnessing drought for 4 straight years. Even this year the drought is predicted, but we don't know because of the developing El Nino condition what will happen. Don't need to worry with regards to these words like El Nino. You will eventually get cleared of all these words. But please remember that this part of the world is very drought stricken. It is famine stricken because of mismanagement. Okay, it's a game of mismanagement. It's a game of exploitation. Okay, so now if I move ahead with the discussion of this, okay, a very interesting thing I will tell you. Okay, Sahara is not the world's largest sandy desert. Okay, you will ask me, sir, why so? How can you say this? Everywhere we have read that Sahara is the world's biggest desert. Guys, Sahara exists as pockets. It does not exist as one single sandy expanse. In all the different countries, you have different pockets of Sahara. Okay, and this Saharan pockets, they together make up the Great Saharan Desert. Okay, and these pockets are different in every country. Okay, so if I want to highlight you the different pockets of different countries of the Sahara, so some of the pockets I will introduce you today. Rest of the pockets when we'll discuss the continent of Africa as a whole. So in the Algerian side, you have a desert called as Fezzan. You have a desert called as Fezzan on the Algerian side. Okay, so I'm again writing the name properly. In the Algerian side, you have an entry called as Fezzan. Okay, you have an entry called as Fezzan. In Libya, you have the Libyan desert. So this part of Sahara is where you will have Libyan desert. Okay, in Egypt you will have 3 pockets of Sahara. Okay, you will have Eastern Egyptian desert, you will have Western Egyptian desert, and in the south of Egypt, you will have a desert called as the Nubian desert. So if I'm summarizing this for you all on the political maps, so let me just open up the political maps for every one of you. Okay, so that you have a working understanding. Okay, so if I've opened up the map of Africa, so there are pockets of Sahara. Okay, in Algeria you have a pocket of Sahara called as Fezzan. Okay, the detailed pockets I will explain you when we will do the physical map of Africa per se. Today I am just introducing you to these topics. In Libya you have a desert called as Libyan desert. Okay, in Egypt you on the west you have Western Sahara or Western Egyptian desert. On the east you have the East Egyptian desert, and on the south, the border with Sudan, you have one of the world's most famous desert called as Nubian desert. Okay, called as Nubian desert. Okay, what do you mean by Nubian desert? Okay, so you will be shocked to hear this fact, guys, that the Egyptian pyramids are not the world's oldest pyramids, and they are not even the world's greatest pyramids. Okay, so I'm being a tour guide for you in this session of called as Geography Through Maps, and I myself visited this part of the globe. So I'm giving you this information which is very astonishing to everyone. Okay, the Great Pyramids of Giza in Egypt are neither the world's oldest, they are neither the world's biggest. Okay, the world's biggest pyramids you will find in Mexico. It is called as the Pyramids of Cholula. Okay, it was built by the Incas, it was built by the Aztecan empires. So the Pyramids of Cholula in Mexico, where I taught you the altiplano of Mexico, so that part of Mexico is where you have the Pyramids of Cholula. Okay, and the biggest after Cholula and oldest after Cholula. Okay, and some of the some of the pyramids do date back older than the Cholula pyramids of Mexico. You find in Sudan, you find in the Nubian desert. Okay, so the Nubian people were the first blue-skinned people of the world. Okay, you must have heard the word Nilkant. Okay, it basically comes from this part, because here you have a river called as Blue Nile, one of the best, or sorry, one of what, the biggest headstream of Nile. So in Sudan, the capital of Sudan, you have a city called as Khartoum, which is the capital of Sudan. And in Khartoum, you have two headstreams of Nile meeting. You have Blue Nile and you have White Nile. Okay, and both of these meet, and you have the formation of the Great Nile River. Okay, why it is called Blue Nile? Because Blue Nile, you had some sulfurous deposits, and sulfurous deposits do tend to have a blue color in your throat. Okay, on your body. So these were some of the blue-skinned people of the world, and these people, they erected pyramids at least 1,000 years before than the Egyptian people. Okay, now what happens, guys? History documentation is somewhat an exercise which is done by the global west, so they don't tend to recognize the contributions to the made to the history by the Oriental culture, by the black people. Okay, Nubian people were black skinned and they were also black blue skinned, so their history is somewhat eroded by the westerners. Okay, even if you go to Egypt, the capital of Egypt is Cairo. Okay, and you have one of the world's biggest museum over there. Even there you won't find the mention of this Nubian pyramids, but please keep in mind, Nubian pyramids are some of the oldest pyramids, and because of this, you have the formation of the best pyramid structure in the world in Sudan part. Okay, so you have three deserts in Egypt. You have Western Desert, Eastern Desert, and you have Nubian Desert. Okay, now as the Tropic of Cancer passes after Africa, it passes through Sahara-Sudan belt and it enters into Asia. In Asia, it will enter into the Saudi Arabian Peninsula. Okay, and in Saudi Arabian Peninsula, you will have let me just open up, let me just zoom the map for you all. Where do we have the scale? Here we have the scale. Okay, so I'm zooming on the Saudi Arabian Peninsula for you all. Okay, let me just see whether it is being adjusted in your viewfinder. Okay, so now this is the Saudi Arabian Peninsula for you all. Okay. So after passing through Africa, the Tropic of Cancer, it enters into Saudi Arabia, and in Saudi Arabia you have two deserts. Okay, to the south or to the north of Tropic of Cancer, you have a desert in Saudi Arabia called as Al Nafud. You have a desert called as Al Nafud, which lies to the north of Tropic of Cancer, and to the south you have the world's biggest sandy desert. Mind guys, the world's biggest sandy desert is not in Africa, it is not Sahara. The world's biggest sandy expanse is in Saudi Arabia. It is called as Rub al Khali. Okay, Rub al Khali. Okay, the name itself translates into Rub al Khali, the land Rub of Khali, the great empty. Okay, the name itself translates to the land of the great empty. Okay, and Rub al Khali is the world's single largest sandy expanse. Okay, yes, Abhay, you pointed out well. Al Rub Khali is the largest continuous sandy desert expanse in the world, and it sits in Saudi Arabia. It does not sit in Sahara. Sahara is existing in pockets. Okay, whereas Rub Khali is the world's biggest sandy expanse. So now, if I'm showcasing you on the physical map, okay, so if I'm showcasing you on the maps per se, okay, so this part of Saudi Arabian Peninsula where you are seeing the light brownish color or the light yellowish color, this part of Saudi Arabian Peninsula is where you have Rub al Khali. Okay, this is where you have Rub al Khali, the land of the great empty. Okay, and you also have a strait over here called as Babal Mandap. Babal Mandap literally translates into gateway of tears per se. We will discuss the straits in some little lectures after now, but for now just remember that Rub al Khali on the Saudi Arabian Peninsula is the largest sandy desert expanse in the entire world per se. Okay, after passing through the Saudi Arabian Peninsula, the Tropic of Capricorn will move into the Indian region. Okay, and in the Indian region, on the western side of Aravallis, on the Rajasthan's western sides with the border with Pakistan, you will have the famous Marusthali region of India, and that is where you will have the tropical hot desert of India. Anybody care to comment, those who are watching me? So it will be good if you try to chat with me on live chat, general kind GK kind of exercise. So in India, the Marusthali part of the desert to the west of Aravallis, you have the tropical hot desert of India. It is called as Thar. It is called as Thar. So please keep this in mind, guys. In India, you have a tropical hot desert. It is called as Thar. But mind you guys, Thar has nothing to do with Saudi Arabian deserts. It has nothing to do with the Saharan deserts. Okay, all the soil which comes in Thar, it comes from the Mongolian desert. It comes from Gobi desert in Mongolia. It comes from the basin regions of China. Okay, so we will do this when we'll do the Atlas of Asia in detail. Thar is basically the Losic soils which come from China and which come from Mongolia's Gobi desert. Okay, so this is the territory of Thar. After that, it will pass through Myanmar, it will pass through China. Now, because of monsoonal tendencies, the tropical areas of Myanmar and China, you will have rainforest. Okay, so we will discuss monsoon a little bit ahead of time, not today, but the monsoonal tendencies tend to modify the areas, the tropical areas over here, and after that you will have in Taiwan. From Taiwan, it will enter into the Pacific Ocean. So, if I am summarizing for you all, predominantly on Tropic of Cancer, you will find hot deserts, you will find xerophytic vegetation. So this is with regards to Tropic of Cancer. Now let's move down south into the southern hemisphere. We will discuss the Tropic of Capricorn. Okay. So if I'm opening up the South America for you all. So let's open up South America now. So if you see this part of South America, again you are seeing light yellowish shade or light brownish shade. Okay, but because this is the driest place on earth. Okay, this is the driest place on earth. Okay, on earth, and the name of the desert in this part of South America, it is called as Atacama Desert. Atacama Desert. Okay. You have two cities over here called as Arica and Iquique. Arica and Iquique will be the driest cities in the entire world. But for now, just remember that Atacama Desert, which sits on the Tropic of Capricorn, where Tropic of Capricorn enters into Chile. So the coastal region of the Andes, you have a mountain range over here called as Andes. So you have the world's driest place, you have the Atacama Desert. Okay, Atacama Desert has got a record of not receiving rainfall for more than 30, 40, even 50 years per se. Okay, so please make sure that you are comfortable with this. Okay. After this, if we move ahead with regards to the physical discussion of deserts in Africa. So again, if you see this part of Africa, you will see light yellowish color or brownish color. So this part of Africa is where you have 3 deserts. Guys, this is just introductory lecture. So I'm just solely using the reference map for understanding you the deserts. In coming lectures, when we will see Africa in detailed physical, so you will be seeing the exact location of deserts on the screens too. Okay, so for now, just keep on understanding what is happening, because understanding is the crux of studying the discipline of geography. Okay, so if you see this, so you have 3 deserts over here. On the west side, this side, you have the Great Namib Desert. You have the Great Namib Desert. It is very famous for nesting of the penguins on the western sides. Okay, you have pelicans and you also have sea lions. This part of Africa is where you have a desert called as Kalahari. Kalahari Desert. Okay. Okay, very famous for its swamps called as Okavango swamps. Okay, so you have a swamp region over here called as Okavango swamps. Okay, good evening, Krishna. Okay, on the southern side of South Africa, you have a desert called as Great Karoo. You have a desert called as Great Karoo. Guys, I'm just introducing you. Don't get confused with the names. Don't get frightened. Okay, I am the guide for you for the World Atlas. So this guide will take care of all the entries. Okay, for now, just plain simply observe and understand. Wherever you are seeing this light yellowish color or slightly dark brownish color, there you will find deserts. And on the tropical areas, as I have showcased you, predominantly you are having deserts. Now, the best representation of deserts of the tropical areas is the continent of Australia. Okay, so now let's switch our understanding towards Australia. So this is the Australia for you all. Okay, and if you see Australia, this complete 2/3 of Australia is a desert. Okay, 2/3 of Australia is a desert territory. 2/3 of Australia is desert territory. Okay, it's desert territory. It is called as the Australian outback. It is called as the Australian outback. Okay, very catchy name. You can remember this name for eternity. Okay, this is why, because you have Tropic of Capricorn which cuts directly Australia in half. Okay, there are other reasons for why 2/3 of Australia is desert, but we will discuss that tomorrow, because I need to explain you the orogenic effect of the mountain ranges. So we'll discuss that region tomorrow too. Okay, so 2/3 of Australia is an outback territory. It's a desert territory. You have some of the world's best deserts over here. If I'm painting some of the names for you, so you have the Great Victorian Desert. You have the Great Victorian Desert. You have Gibson Desert. Okay, you have Great Sandy Desert. Okay, Great Sandy Desert on the west side of Africa over here. So these are the 3 deserts over here. In the middle of Africa, you are having 2 very peculiar deserts. Okay, one of them is a stony desert and one of them is a rugged desert. So you find predominance of stones or you find predominance of sand. Okay, very fine sand over there. So 2 deserts you have. It is called as Stuart Stony. It is called as Stuart Stony Desert. One of the desert, it is called as Stuart Stony. Okay, and the other desert, it is called as Simpson Desert. It is called as Simpson. Okay, it is called as Simpson Desert. Okay, one of this is rather sandy, another of it is rather stony desert. Okay, so Australia is perhaps the best representation of the desert kind of topography which is existing on the Tropic of Capricorn. So if I'm summarizing you for you all, okay, on the tropics you will predominantly find deserts. today we did with the countries names through which the Tropic of Capricorn and Tropic of Cancer passes. Okay, predominantly you will have deserts, predominantly you will have xerophytic vegetation. Okay, Atacama Desert is the world's driest place. Sahara is not the world's single largest expanse of desert. Mind you, the single largest sandy expanse of desert is a desert called as Rub al Khali. It is in the Saudi Arabian Peninsula. Okay, in India you do have a desert called as the Thar Desert. Okay, but mind you, Thar Desert has nothing got to do with the Sahara and with the Saudi Arabian deserts. The soils of Thar, they come from Mongolia, they come from China. Okay, so we'll do that when we'll do the India's atlas. Okay, in the southern end you do have the deserts of Africa, Namib Desert, Kalahari Desert, Great Karoo. Okay, Australia perhaps is the best representation of the deserts because 2/3 of Australia is a dry outback territory. So you have deserts like Victorian Desert, Gibson Desert, Sandy Desert. You have deserts like Stuart Stony and you have desert like Simpson. Okay. So tomorrow I will explain you the details behind this. Why do we have deserts predominantly? And I will answer a very fundamental question, that why do we have deserts predominantly on the western side and not on the eastern side. So tomorrow we'll enter into some of the conceptual understandings of this. So tomorrow's lecture will become very important. Okay, so guys, slowly I'm introducing you to maps. Please make sure that you have an atlas called as Orient Black Swan. Okay, I am again writing down the name for all of you. The name of the atlas, it is Orient Black Swan. Okay, it is called as Orient Black Swan. Okay, Orient Black Swan School Atlas. Okay, Orient Black Swan School Atlas. This atlas is very important for those who are aiming for civil services examination and preferably 8th edition. Okay, 8th edition. So make sure that you have this atlas with you whenever you are attending these sessions with me. Okay, and you do a homework that whatever entries I'm discussing, you are marking up in your atlas. Okay, in the coming sessions I will be even using detailed maps so that it becomes easy for you to understand the things. And I, being the guide, I have traveled to more than 40 countries, so you have a living geographer with you, a living cartographer with you, so don't need to worry. You can completely trust me, you can completely have faith in me that we will set on this journey very beautifully. Okay, so before I close off, I am again reiterating my name to each and every one of you. Okay, my name is Pritesh Maturkar. Okay, and you can search me on Telegram via a channel called as Geography by Pritesh Maturkar. Okay, and the joining link is t.me Geography by Pritesh. So every day I will keep on posting some of the relevant material with regards to geography, the current affairs with regards to geography on this group. You are free to join that and you are free to contact me on Telegram too. I will be happy to clear your doubts. So guys, tomorrow's session becomes very technical. So those of you who are watching this sessions live, okay, I have someone like Krishna, Abhay, okay, those who are consistent with me. So tomorrow please attend this session right from the beginning, and those of you who are seeing recorded sessions, as per your convenience, it's up to you guys, but please do properly revision of tomorrow's session. So see you all tomorrow, take care and have a good night. Please work hard and smart. That is what civil services examination demands. Thank you. On the behalf of StudyIQ, I'm closing off the lecture. Okay, take care everyone.